Hey guys, tonight we're going to be a little different. We are going to close our eyes and step out of the familiar rhythm of our modern lives. Tonight we'll become geologists of the imagination, archaeologists of the soul, and we'll travel not through space, but through a long, slow river of time. A river so vast and so deep that its surface is a perfect mirror reflecting a sky filled with colors and clouds that our eyes would not recognize, and its shores are lined with stones that whisper of a world without us. I want you to imagine we're standing on the cusp of an ancient ocean, a warm, strange sea filled with alien chemistry. The air is thick and the light is soft, filtered through a haze of gases we wouldn't dare to breathe. This is a world still finding its footing, still dreaming of the creatures that would one day walk upon its crust. In this land, our delicate human forms would not survive a moment. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. As you settle in, I'd like to ask a small favor. Take a moment to think about where you are right now. What is the name of this place you're in? And what is the time on your clock? Feel the weight of your own small moment in the grand, ceaseless procession of time. And then, let's begin our journey back. We are traveling back to a time so profoundly distant, it feels like a legend, a myth whispered by the mountains and the sea. The Earth we left behind, the one we know with its continents and familiar oceans, is gone. In its place is a different planet entirely, a young world, still hot and molten at its core, a restless giant stretching and groaning in its sleep. This is the Hadean and Archean eons, a story told not in words, but in the silent, stratified language of rock. Imagine time as a vast woven tapestry, a cosmic loom that has been working for billions of years. The threads are so fine, so numerous, that to us it appears as a solid fabric. But if we were to pull on a single thread, let's say the one representing a human life, the entire tapestry would barely tremble. We are now winding the loom backward, unspooling billions of years of history in our minds. The light is dim here, the sky often filled with a perpetual haze. Volcanoes, not like the gentle eruptions of our time, but monstrous planet-shaping vents, belch fire and steam into the sky. It is a violent, beautiful, and utterly alien world where the very chemistry of the planet is in a state of chaotic, creative flux. This primordial world, for all its hostility, was a crucible. For millions upon millions of years, in deep-sea hydrothermal vents or in warm little ponds, the simplest of life began to stir. We call this process abiogenesis, the idea that life can arise from non-living matter. It is one of the great scientific mysteries, a profound and elegant question that still captivates us. We can recreate the conditions in a lab. We can witness the formation of amino acids and organic molecules. But the spark, that first self-replicating molecule that decided to become a thing that is, we still can't quite grasp it. It's like trying to find the precise moment a single note becomes a symphony. It is a moment, and yet it is not. A moment so slow and so gentle, it defies our linear sense of time. The earliest life forms were not the grand complex beings we think of today. They were whisper-thin threads of a story yet to be written. They were simply a collection of chemicals, a membrane, and a stubborn desire to keep existing. These microscopic entities were the true pioneers, the explorers who first charted the vast, silent sea of existence. Their legacy in its purest form is still within us, a faint echo of that first courageous impulse to live. The journey continues, but the pace is slow, almost imperceptible. We pass through the first great shift, the great oxygenation event. This is a bizarre and beautiful little secret of our planet's history. For nearly 1 billion years, our atmosphere was mostly nitrogen and carbon dioxide. The air was poisonous to us. But then a new form of life emerged, the cyanobacteria. They began to photosynthesize, using the sun's energy to convert carbon dioxide into sugars with oxygen as a waste product. For these tiny beings, oxygen was just a byproduct. But for the rest of the planet, it was a cataclysm. Oxygen in its early stages was a deadly poison to most of the anaerobic life that existed then. Imagine a world where the very air that we now breathe to live was once the agent of a mass extinction. It's a strange and humbling thought. The atmosphere filled with this new reactive gas, rusting the iron in the oceans and creating a planet of a different color. This was the first great act of environmental engineering, a cosmic project undertaken by creatures too small to be seen. They terraformed their own home not with intention or grand design, but simply by living. The world we see today with its blue skies and rich life is a direct result of this microbial quiet revolution. As we move forward, we enter the Proterozoic eon, a name that simply means earlier life. This is where things start to get truly interesting, a slow-motion dance of evolution and change. Our woven tapestry of time begins to gain more complex patterns. For nearly 2 billion years, life remained stubbornly simple, a world of single-celled organisms of microscopic dramas playing out in the deep oceans. We see the first great stirrings of something more, the development of eukaryotic cells, which are cells with a nucleus and more complex internal machinery. This was a monumental leap, a cosmic retooling that made all future life possible. Think of the eukaryotic cell as a tiny, highly efficient city with specialized districts and a central command center. This new, more complex cell was a game changer. It allowed for greater diversity and laid the groundwork for the most astonishing development of all multicellularity. The idea of being a single unified being made up of many cells is so ingrained in our thinking that we forget how utterly revolutionary it was. It wasn't a sudden event, but a slow, gradual cooperative effort. Imagine a community of cells all of a sudden deciding to specialize, to work together for a common purpose. Some would become skin, some would become nerves, some would become the heart of a creature that was more than the sum of its parts. It's a testament to the strange, beautiful power of cooperation in the universe. And so toward the end of the Proterozoic, the first true animals began to appear. Not the creatures of our familiar world, but the soft-bodied, enigmatic life of the Ediacaran biota. They were flat frond-like beings, some looking like quilted mattresses, others like delicate, segmented worms. They are a mystery in and of themselves, a silent chapter in life's history that feels almost alien to us. They were life's first great experiment in body plans, a strange and forgotten bestiary that flourished for a time before fading, a gentle prelude to the explosion of life that was to come. We are now approaching the doorstep of the Paleozoic era, a time of profound transformation. The air is still different, but more breathable now. The seas are teeming with new forms of life. The soft-bodied Ediacaran creatures are being replaced by the hard-bodied shell-wearing pioneers of the Cambrian explosion. In a geologically short period of time, an astonishing variety of life forms appear in the fossil record. It's a fascinating puzzle for paleontologists, a sudden profusion of creatures with eyes and jaws and limbs. It's as if life, after a long quiet deliberation, decided to get serious about making a statement. We see the ancestors of arthropods, mollusks, and vertebrates appearing for the first time. The oceans become a vibrant, bustling metropolis of life. The story for the last 4 billion years has been one of slow, quiet change. Now the pace quickens, the music swells. The narrative of life on Earth is not a smooth, linear progression. It is a story of great leaps and devastating falls, of quiet innovation and sudden cataclysm. The world we're seeing now is a world without forests or flowers, without birdsong or the rustle of mammals. The land is still largely barren, a canvas of rock and sand waiting for its first great painters. But the seeds have been planted. The deep, patient work of evolution is beginning to pay off. The fundamental blueprints for the grand, extravagant tapestry of life are now in place. We have moved from a planet of simple chemicals to a world of complex interacting ecologies. And all of this staggering change happened before the first dinosaur took its first breath. The stage is set. The ancient oceans have birthed a world of possibility. And as we transition from this deep silent time to the next great chapter, we must hold on to the understanding that we are not just watching a story about dinosaurs, but a story about the endless creative power of life itself. The dinosaurs are not the beginning of the story, but an astonishing and magnificent chapter in the middle, a story that was already 4 billion years in the making. The world is waiting. The continents are shifting. The air is changing. And somewhere in the shadows of this new dawn, a small, unassuming creature, an ancestor of all the great giants to come, is taking its first tentative steps. The world we are now entering, as we gently turn the pages of our cosmic book, is a place still healing from its own birth pangs. The great oxygenation event, that microbial revolution, has passed. The atmosphere is now a complex mixture, a slow-brewed potion of nitrogen carbon dioxide and that once poisonous gas oxygen. But it is not the air we breathe today, not yet. The carbon dioxide levels are still far higher, creating a planet with a much warmer climate, a lush, verdant greenhouse world. The continents, those great silent tectonic rafts, are on the move. They are not in the familiar shapes we know from our atlases, but instead are slowly drifting together, destined to form a supercontinent. We are moving toward the Permian period, a time of grand convergence where landmasses and life forms alike were brought together in a single colossal tapestry. This is a world that is not yet ready for the dinosaurs. They are a distant dream, a whisper in the genetic code of some small, unassuming reptiles. The stage is still occupied by other actors, great and strange. The land has been colonized, not by the flamboyant dinosaurs, but by the ancestors of mammals and reptiles. These are the synapsids and sauropsids, two great branches on the tree of life. The synapsids, often called mammal-like reptiles, are the dominant land animals. They are a diverse lot, some resembling the sleek, swift hunters of our time, others built like powerful, lumbering giants. Think of the Gorgonopsians with their long canine teeth, or the great sail-backed Dimetrodon, a creature that is often mistaken for a dinosaur, but is in fact more closely related to us. The world is theirs. The land is theirs to hunt, to graze, to burrow, and to live out their evolutionary story. We are traveling through a time that is a vibrant living theater, filled with creatures we have only seen in our textbooks, and yet they are so profoundly real. There is a core scientific concept at play here, the idea of convergent evolution. This is the fascinating phenomenon where different species completely unrelated independently evolve similar traits or features because they live in similar environments and face similar selective pressures. A classic example we see in our own time is the way sharks, dolphins, and the ancient ichthyosaurs all developed similar streamlined bodies and fins. They all had to swim fast in the open ocean, so evolution, in its endless creative wisdom, found a similar solution for all of them. In the Permian period, we can see this at work everywhere. The synapsids were developing traits that we would later associate with mammals, strong jaws, specialized teeth for different kinds of food, and a more upright posture. They were evolving to fill niches that would one day be occupied by the great dinosaurs, and much later by us. It's a reminder that life, no matter the specific form, is always finding a way to adapt and thrive. But then, as with all great dramas, the intermission comes. And this intermission is a cataclysm, a moment of profound and absolute change. We are approaching the end of the Permian period. The world is lush and full of life, but beneath the surface, something terrible is stirring. The supercontinent Pangaea has fully formed, and the interior of this massive landmass is a harsh, arid desert. But the true danger is coming from the north. In what is now Siberia, a series of colossal volcanic eruptions begin. We call these the Siberian traps. They are not like the neat cone-shaped volcanoes we think of today. These were vast continental-scale flood basalts that erupted for millions of years, pouring unimaginable amounts of lava onto the surface and spewing a continuous cloud of greenhouse gases and sulfur into the atmosphere. The world became a much hotter place, and the oceans began to acidify. This brings us to a little-known and terrifying fact about our world's history. The end Permian extinction, often called the Great Dying, was the most severe mass extinction event in Earth's history. It was a planetary catastrophe that makes the extinction of the dinosaurs look like a minor skirmish. A staggering 96% of all marine species and 70% of all terrestrial vertebrate species were wiped out. Imagine a silent, empty world. The seas, once teeming with life, become stagnant, lifeless pools. The land once filled with the noisy chatter of ancient reptiles and insects falls quiet. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That our planet, this sturdy, beautiful rock we call home, has faced such profound and fundamental crises and has somehow slowly, painstakingly recovered. It raises a philosophical question that still hangs in the air of every paleontology lab. What is the true nature of resilience? Is it a sudden burst of strength, or the quiet, patient ability to endure a silence so vast it feels infinite? The end Permian extinction is not a sudden, clean break. It is a slow, creeping horror that unfolds over hundreds of thousands of years. The world is plunged into a dark age, a long twilight, where the forces of life seem to have been defeated. The survivors, a mere handful of species, eke out an existence in a broken world. The great synapsids, the rulers of the Permian, are devastated. Their numbers are decimated. The very fabric of life has been frayed to a single delicate thread. But within that thread, within that handful of survivors, is the future. Small, resilient creatures, the ancestors of today's mammals and the ancestors of the dinosaurs, managed to endure the long night. They are the seeds of a new story, a new beginning. As we move past the devastation and into the dawn of the Triassic period, the world is a changed place. Pangaea is a sprawling desert, punctuated by the occasional lush oasis of life. The ecosystems are empty, the niches are open, the great stage is vacant. The dinosaurs, still small and humble, are not yet the stars of this show. They are just one of many groups of reptiles struggling for dominance in a new, unwritten world. The synapsids, though they survived, have been reduced to smaller, less dominant forms. The baton has been passed. This is a crucial turning point, a moment when the hierarchy of life is reset. The grand sprawling empire of the Permian is gone, and a new world, a new era is dawning. It is a world of possibility where a tiny, unassuming creature with a few key evolutionary advantages can rise to unimaginable heights. The stage is empty, the quiet has passed, and a new age of giants is about to begin. The silence is finally broken by the first tentative, hopeful steps of new life. The great silent trauma of the Permian extinction has receded into the deep past, leaving behind an empty world, a fresh canvas for life to paint a new story. We are now in the early Triassic period, a time of profound ecological change and opportunity. The continents are still locked together in the supercontinent of Pangaea, a vast arid landmass stretching from pole to pole. The climate is hot, the seasons extreme. The interior of this colossal land is a scorching desert, while the coastal regions are home to thick, humid forests. It is a world where only the most resilient can survive, where adaptability is not a luxury, but a necessity. The landscape is not yet dominated by the great towering giants we imagine when we think of dinosaurs. The stage is still being set, the props are still being arranged, and the true stars of the show have not yet made their grand entrance. Instead, the world is ruled by a different cast of characters. These are the archosaurs, a group of reptiles that are the distant common ancestors of both dinosaurs and crocodiles. They are a diverse and rapidly evolving bunch, filling the ecological voids left by the Great Dying. Some are sleek, crocodile-like creatures that hunt in the rivers and swamps. Others are smaller bipedal runners, agile and fast, chasing down prey in the open plains. It is from this dynamic, competitive group that the first dinosaurs will emerge. The word dinosaur itself is a poetic misnomer coined much later by Sir Richard Owen. It means terrible lizard. But as we will see, it is a name that doesn't fully capture the incredible diversity and complexity of these creatures. The first dinosaurs were not terrible, not yet. They were small, no bigger than a large dog, and they were for a time just one among many types of archosaurs vying for survival. This is a perfect time to introduce a fascinating biological concept, exaptation. This is the idea that a feature that evolved for one purpose can be co-opted for a completely different purpose later on. A classic familiar example is feathers. We once thought feathers evolved for flight, but paleontological discoveries have shown us that many dinosaurs had feathers long before any of them could fly. It's now believed that feathers originally evolved for insulation or for display, a way to attract mates or intimidate rivals. It was only later that they were adapted for the purpose of aerodynamics and powered flight. In the early Triassic, we can see exaptation at work with the humble archosaurs. The first dinosaurs developed a key feature that would give them a profound advantage, a more upright posture. Unlike the sprawling legs of a modern crocodile, the legs of these early dinosaurs were positioned more directly underneath their bodies. This subtle shift was not initially for size or speed, but it made them more efficient runners able to move with greater agility and endurance. This little change and exaptation waiting for its moment would be the key that unlocked their future. So let's cast our gaze upon these early pioneers. We're talking about creatures like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, some of the oldest dinosaurs we have found. They were small, agile predators with serrated teeth, built for speed and hunting. They were not at the top of the food chain, not by a long shot. That honor still belonged to the giant pseudosuchians, the crocodile-like archosaurs that were the apex predators of the time. The pseudosuchians, with their long, powerful jaws and thick armored hides, were the undisputed kings of the early Triassic. The first dinosaurs in this brutal landscape were little more than opportunistic scavengers and hunters of smaller prey. They were a supporting cast, not the main event. It's a strange and beautiful little secret of our planet's history, the idea that the greatest titans to ever walk the earth began as little more than footnotes in a world dominated by their rivals. This raises an interesting question, a puzzle that paleontologists still grapple with. Why did the dinosaurs for millions of years remain so small and so unremarkable? They had their upright posture, they had their unique skeletal structures, but they were not the dominant force. The pseudosuchians held on to power for a very long time. The truth is, we don't really know for sure what held them back. Was it a matter of competition? Or was the climate and ecosystem of the early Triassic simply not conducive to the growth of giants? This is one of those moments where the fossil record is silent, and we are left to ponder the nature of evolution itself, a slow, patient process that can take a long, long time to reveal its true potential. But then, as with all things in the history of our world, there is another shift. The late Triassic is marked by another series of cataclysmic events, though not as severe as the Great Dying. The supercontinent Pangaea begins to show signs of cracking apart. Volcanic activity increases, releasing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and leading to another series of climate shifts and extinctions. This is known as the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. It's not as well known as the other great extinctions, but its impact was profound. For reasons we don't fully understand, the pseudosuchians, the great crocodile-like rulers of the Triassic, were hit hard. They lost their dominance, and many of their most fearsome forms simply vanished from the fossil record. And so, the stage is finally empty. The great rivals of the dinosaurs are gone, leaving behind vast, vacant ecological niches. It is a moment of profound irony, a testament to the strange random twists of fate that shape our world. The dinosaurs, the small and unassuming creatures that had lived in the shadows for millions of years, were now poised to inherit the earth. The upright posture that once made them merely efficient runners now became the foundation for something new, immense size and power. The world was now a blank slate, a world of possibility. As the Triassic fades and the Jurassic dawns, the small quiet story of the dinosaurs is about to explode into a grand, majestic, and terrifying epic. The sun rises on a new world, and in this new dawn, the shadows of the first giants are beginning to stretch across the land. We have crossed a threshold. The quiet, long, slow-burning drama of the Triassic is over, and we are stepping into the dawn of the Jurassic period. The world feels different. The air is still warm and humid, but the landscape is no longer a vast, unbroken desert. The tectonic plates, restless after their long period of convergence, are beginning to pull Pangaea apart. The great supercontinent is cracking, creating vast rift valleys that will one day become oceans. This slow, patient process of continental drift is not just reshaping the land, but also the climate. As the continents separate, new coastlines are created, allowing for more moisture to enter the atmosphere. The dry, arid interior gives way to a world of lush, dense forests and sprawling wetlands. It is a new world, a grand green stage ready for a new cast of characters. And what a cast they are! For millions of years, the dinosaurs have been waiting in the shadows, small and unassuming. Now, with their main rivals, the pseudosuchians gone, the evolutionary dam has broken. This is a scientific concept we call adaptive radiation, the rapid diversification of a group of organisms into a variety of different forms, often following a mass extinction or the colonization of a new unoccupied area. Think of it like a new frontier. When the first pioneers arrive, the land is open and filled with possibility. The dinosaurs, having survived the Triassic-Jurassic extinction, were the ultimate pioneers. They had a world of empty ecological niches to fill, and they filled them with a breathtaking array of forms. The small bipedal forms of the Triassic began to grow. Some evolved into the first great carnivores, others into herbivores. The upright posture that was once a simple advantage for running now became the fundamental architecture for size and power. The great unfolding of forms is truly a sight to behold. We see the emergence of the first true sauropods, the long-necked four-legged herbivores that would come to dominate the landscape. They began as smaller, more modest creatures, but with the world offering an endless buffet of ferns, cycads, and conifers, they began to grow and grow and grow. Their necks elongated, allowing them to reach food sources that were previously inaccessible. Their bodies became massive, hulking pillars of muscle and bone, capable of digesting huge quantities of tough plant matter. It's a testament to the power of a simple feedback loop. More food equals more growth, and more growth allows access to even more food. This process, repeated over millions of years, led to the titans that would define the Jurassic. At the same time, another lineage of dinosaurs is undergoing its own remarkable transformation. The theropods, the bipedal meat-eating dinosaurs, are also diversifying. From the agile early hunters, we see the emergence of creatures like the Allosaurus, a formidable predator with a powerful skull and serrated teeth. The theropods were the great hunters of the Jurassic, a counterpoint to the slow, gentle giants. The world became a dynamic, complex ecosystem, a living, breathing chess match between predator and prey. There is a fascinating and often overlooked detail about these theropods. Scientists have discovered that many of them, from smaller species to even some larger ones, likely had a strange hollow space in their snouts, called a paranasal sinus. This raises an interesting question. What was the purpose of this sinus? Was it for enhanced smell? Or perhaps, as some paleontologists hypothesize, was it a vocal chamber? A way for these great beasts to create low-frequency sounds, to communicate across vast distances, a kind of ancient primeval rumble that would shake the very ground. We don't know for sure, and the sound of a dinosaur remains one of the great mysteries of our world. The great unfolding of forms isn't limited to the sauropods and theropods. The Ornithischians, a group that includes the armored dinosaurs and the ancestors of the duck-billed dinosaurs, are also on the rise. They are characterized by a unique hip structure that resembles that of a bird, though interestingly, they are not the direct ancestors of birds. The theropods with their lizard-like hips are. It's a strange and beautiful little quirk of evolution, a reminder that the pathways of life are never as simple as they seem. The Ornithischians began to evolve a whole suite of defensive adaptations. They were the great herbivores of the Jurassic, and as the sauropods grew in size, so too did the threats they faced. This led to a kind of evolutionary arms race between predator and prey, where one species' adaptation leads to a corresponding adaptation in the other. The world of the Jurassic is a world of extremes. The size of the dinosaurs is almost incomprehensible to our modern minds. Creatures like a Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus were so massive that their very existence challenges our understanding of biology and biomechanics. How did a heart pump blood all the way up a 30-foot neck? How did a body that large stay cool? These are not just scientific questions. They are a profound testament to the sheer unbridled power of life to adapt and overcome even the most fundamental physical limitations. The world itself seems to have conspired to allow for these giants. The high carbon dioxide levels and the warm humid climate meant an abundance of plant life providing the fuel for these colossal metabolic engines. The very air was a testament to their existence, a slow-brewed atmospheric potion that allowed them to grow and thrive in a way that would be impossible today. We are watching a moment of pure, unbridled creative power. Life, after a long, patient deliberation, has decided to go big. The evolution of dinosaurs in the Jurassic is not a quiet, incremental process. It is an explosion, a symphony of new forms and functions. And as the great sauropods move like slow-living mountains and the agile theropods hunt in the shadows of the immense ferns, we are reminded that our world, our time, is but one chapter in a long ongoing story. The whispers of a distant dawn have given way to the rustle and roar of a world in its full, magnificent bloom. The Jurassic period is in full bloom. The continents are still drifting apart, but the great lush forests of ferns, cycads, and conifers are now a dominant feature of the landscape. The air is heavy with moisture, and the world is a single, verdant garden. It is a world ruled by giants, a silent, slow-motion opera where the main characters move like living mountains. We have already seen the emergence of the great sauropods, but it is in this period that their true mind-bending scale is fully realized. This is a time of gigantism, a biological phenomenon that seems almost too fantastical to be real. How did they get so big? It's a question that has captivated scientists and dreamers for centuries. There is no single answer, but a symphony of interconnected factors. The first, and perhaps most crucial, is the abundance of food. The Jurassic climate, warm and humid, was a perfect incubator for plant life. There was no need for these herbivores to wander far for sustenance. It was everywhere. With a high metabolism and a constant supply of calories, growth was not just possible but inevitable. The second factor is a fascinating little secret of their anatomy. Unlike mammals, which have a single highly specialized circulatory system, sauropods had a series of air sacs connected to their lungs that extended throughout their bodies. This is a scientific concept known as a pneumatic skeleton. It meant that their bones, while massive and strong, were also hollow and relatively light. It's like a living, breathing internal scaffolding, a perfect solution to the paradox of being both impossibly huge and light enough to move. But the sheer size of the sauropods brings with it a whole new set of biological challenges. A key scientific concept here is allometry, the study of how an organism's traits change as it grows. The rule of allometry dictates that as an animal gets bigger, its skeleton must increase in relative thickness, and its muscles must become disproportionately stronger to support the additional weight. Think of a small dog versus a large elephant. An elephant's legs are like thick columnar pillars, while the dogs are comparatively slender. The sauropods pushed this rule to its absolute limit. Their legs were like great bony trees, and their feet were equipped with soft, fatty pads to help absorb the shock of each thunderous step. They were truly masterpieces of biomechanical engineering. The sheer amount of blood required to pump to the brain located at the end of a 30-foot-long neck is a riddle that still captivates us. We don't really know for sure what their circulatory system was like, but some scientists hypothesize that they had a series of smaller hearts along the length of their necks, a kind of biological relay system to help the blood defy gravity. It's one of the great unsolved mysteries of paleontology, a silent question hidden in the fossilized bones. The great sauropods, with their endless grazing and their immense bodies, were not just a part of the ecosystem. They were the ecosystem. They were a force of nature moving like slow-living bulldozers, shaping the landscape with every step. Creatures like Apatosaurus and Diplodocus would leave great trampled trails in their wake. They were the dominant herbivores, and their very presence dictated the behavior of other animals. The smaller herbivores had to find ways to coexist with them, and the predators like Allosaurus had to find ways to take down such a colossal quarry. It's a powerful lesson in the interconnectedness of all living things, a reminder that every creature, no matter its size, plays a crucial role in the grand narrative of life. The world of the sauropods was not a quiet, tranquil paradise. It was a world of constant struggle and survival. There is a little-known fact about these giants that is both beautiful and a little sad. Some scientists believe that sauropods, due to their immense size, had a different relationship with gravity and their own bodies. When they would fall, a bone fracture could be a death sentence. The sheer weight of their bodies would make it nearly impossible to heal. They were truly built to walk and to stand, and every step was a testament to their strength and resilience. The world was a place of delicate balance, and they, for all their power, were not immune to its rules. As the Jurassic wears on, the sauropods reach their peak. They are found on every continent, a testament to the fact that Pangaea, though it was cracking apart, was still a single landmass connected by temporary land bridges. Creatures like Brachiosaurus and Camarasaurus become global citizens, their remains found in far-flung corners of the world. They are the living embodiment of a golden age, a time when life, in a glorious burst of creative energy, decided to see just how big it could get. They were the mountains that walked, the living towers that grazed upon the canopy of the forest, and they were, for all their power, a gentle part of the landscape. And as their shadows lengthen, we are reminded that even the greatest of ages must one day come to an end. The world is changing again. The continents are moving. The climate is shifting. The story of the giants is reaching its twilight, and a new chapter, a new set of characters is about to take the stage. The Jurassic period, that golden age of giants, is still in full swing. But as we continue our journey through time, we must shift our focus away from the great sauropods, those living mountains, and turn our attention to another fascinating and diverse group of dinosaurs, the ornithischians. Remember how we talked about their unique hip structure, the one that looked like a bird's? It's a remarkable piece of evolutionary architecture that defined their lineage, a subtle difference that led to a world of incredible diversity. The ornithischians were the herbivores of the Jurassic, and as the theropods, the great meat eaters, grew in size and ferocity, the ornithischians had to find a way to adapt. The result was an evolutionary arms race, a kind of biological dance between predator and prey that gave us some of the most spectacular and bizarre creatures to ever walk the earth. This is a perfect moment to explore a core scientific concept: coevolution. It's the idea that two or more species can influence each other's evolution. The development of a faster, more agile predator can drive the evolution of a better defended prey. And in turn, that new defense can lead to a new way for the predator to overcome it. In the Jurassic, we see co-evolution in action everywhere. The sauropods had their immense size as a defense, but the ornithischians took a different approach. They became the armored sentinels and the spiked shields of the dinosaur world. The very landscape became a stage for this slow, methodical, and often beautiful conflict. Let's begin with the stegosaurs. Those iconic dinosaurs with the plates on their backs. Creatures like Stegosaurus are among the most recognizable dinosaurs, and yet they are also one of the most mysterious. The plates themselves, a series of bony plates running down their backs, are a puzzle. We don't really know for sure what their primary function was. Some paleontologists hypothesize that they were for defense, a kind of external armor to ward off attacks. But others suggest that they were used for a different and much more fascinating purpose: thermoregulation. It's a little-known fact that the plates were filled with blood vessels, and they may have been used as a way to regulate body temperature, either by catching the morning sun to warm up or by facing the wind to cool down. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? A creature so grand and powerful, using its most distinctive feature as a kind of organic radiator, a silent living testament to the gentle power of the sun. The tail with its 4 deadly spikes, however, was clearly a weapon. It's a reminder that even the most well-defended creatures still had to fight for their lives. But the stegosaurs were not the only armored dinosaurs. As the Jurassic continued, we see the rise of the ankylosaurs, the true tanks of the dinosaur world. They were heavily armored from head to tail, with a thick bony skin that made them nearly invulnerable to attack. Some even had a massive bony club at the end of their tails, a powerful weapon that could shatter the leg of a predator. The ankylosaurs were a fortress on 4 legs, a moving shield of bone and armor. They were the ultimate expression of the defensive strategy. A predator faced with such a formidable opponent would have to find a new way to hunt to outsmart the living shield. This is the beauty of co-evolution. The ankylosaur's armor was an answer to the theropod's teeth, a silent geological conversation between 2 different lineages of life. The great unfolding of forms is a constant theme in the Jurassic. As the ornithischians developed their defenses, they also began to develop new ways to eat. The ornithischian lineage included the ancestors of the duck-billed dinosaurs, creatures with a unique skull and a beak for cropping vegetation. This is a subtle but profound change. The sauropods were like living vacuum cleaners, simply tearing off vast quantities of plant matter. The ornithischians, with their specialized beaks and jaws, were more precise, more selective in their diet. It's a testament to the fact that even within the same broad ecological niche, life can find 1,000 different ways to thrive. The world of the Jurassic is a world of incredible diversity and specialization. The armored dinosaurs and the great sauropods live side by side, a testament to the endless creativity of evolution. We see the theropods growing larger and more diverse, a constant pressure on the herbivores. And in the face of that pressure, the herbivores are finding a way to not just survive, but to flourish. It's a world of immense power and incredible fragility, a beautiful and complex dance between life and death. And as we watch this dance, we are left with a final lingering thought. Why did some creatures go for size and others for armor? Was it a matter of chance, or was there a deeper, more elegant logic to it all? The fossil record gives us the what, but the why is often lost to the silent, swirling mists of time. The Jurassic period, that sprawling, verdant landscape of giants and armored herbivores, is reaching its zenith. The Earth is still a single immense landmass, but the fractures of continental drift are deepening, and the climate is becoming even more hospitable to life. The air is thick with the scent of cycads and conifers, and the great sauropods are still the living rulers of the landscape. But in the shadows of these gentle giants, another lineage is quietly and sometimes ferociously evolving. We have already met the theropods, the bipedal meat-eating dinosaurs, but now as the Jurassic moves into its midpoint, they are truly coming into their own. The world is becoming a grand theater for their reign. This is a time of immense evolutionary pressure. The sauropods and armored dinosaurs are getting bigger, better defended, and more resilient. The theropods in turn have to get smarter faster and more powerful to hunt them. The result? is a magnificent display of co-evolutionary prowess, a biological dance where every move by the prey is met with a corresponding countermove by the predator. It's a reminder that strength and intelligence are not just inherent traits, but a direct response to the world they inhabit. A core scientific concept that helps us understand the evolution of these predators is trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological phenomenon triggered by the addition or removal of apex predators and involves changes in the ecosystem's structure and nutrient cycling. In the Jurassic, the theropods were the apex predators. Their very presence influenced the behavior of all other animals, from the great sauropods down to the smallest creatures. Their hunting strategies, their social structures, and their physical adaptations were a direct response to the availability of their prey. The world was a complex interlocking system, and the theropods were a key part of the engine that kept it running. Let's look at one of the most iconic of these Jurassic predators, the Allosaurus. Often overshadowed by its more famous relative from the Cretaceous, the Allosaurus was a truly formidable hunter. It was not as large as the Tyrannosaurus rex, but it was faster, more agile, and just as deadly. Its skull was equipped with large serrated teeth, and its powerful jaws were designed to deliver a series of quick slicing bites, rather than a single crushing one. It was a masterpiece of biomechanical design, built for a specific purpose to hunt and take down the large herbivores of its time. Its arms, though short, were powerful and equipped with large hooked claws that could hold on to a struggling victim. This brings us to a little-known and fascinating fact about these predators. Many of the great theropods, including Allosaurus, had a powerful sense of smell. But more than that, some scientists believe they may have had a specialized organ called the vomeronasal organ, which could detect chemical cues and pheromones. This would have given them an incredible advantage in hunting, allowing them to track prey from a great distance or even sense the fear and stress of a potential victim. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? To imagine these great hunters not just as mindless eating machines, but as complex sensory beings navigating their world with a level of perception that we can only guess at. The truth is, we don't really know for sure how a predator like the Allosaurus would have stalked its prey. Did it hunt alone or in packs? The fossil record is full of clues, but the final answer is still a mystery, one of the great puzzles of paleontology. The rise of the theropods in the mid-Jurassic is not just a story of size and power. It's a story of incredible diversity. While the Allosaurus was the apex predator, the theropod lineage also included a whole host of other creatures, from the small feathered Compsognathus, no bigger than a chicken, to the great bizarre Dilophosaurus with its twin crests. They were a family of hunters, each with its own unique set of skills and adaptations. The world was their hunting ground, and they ruled it with an iron fist. The Jurassic landscape, with its thick forests and open plains, was a perfect place for them to evolve to experiment with new forms and new strategies. As the Jurassic period draws to a close, the theropods have firmly established their dominance. They are the ultimate expression of the carnivorous form, the apex of a long and patient evolutionary process. They are the kings of their time, and their story is far from over. As the world continues to change, as the continents drift further apart, and the climate shifts, they will continue to evolve to adapt to become even more magnificent and terrifying. Their tale is one of power, of grace, and of a relentless drive to survive. The echoes of their roars still hang in the air of our imagination, a silent testament to a world that was, and a lineage that would one day give rise to some of the most beautiful creatures of all. We have traveled from the hushed and silent dawn of the Triassic through the great booming age of the Jurassic, and we are now moving into the final and most famous chapter of the dinosaur saga, the Cretaceous period. The world is changing again, and in some of the most profound ways yet. Pangaea has fully broken apart, and the continents are beginning to take on shapes that are more familiar to us, though they are still in different positions. North America and Europe are separating, and South America and Africa are drifting farther apart. This fragmentation of the landmasses led to a new kind of evolutionary isolation, where different groups of dinosaurs evolved in different ways, creating a vast and astonishing array of unique species on different continents. It is a world of incredible diversity, a grand final act before the curtain falls. But the most significant change of all is not on the land, but in the plants. For millions of years, the world was a garden of ferns, cycads, and conifers. It was a green but relatively monotonous world, one that was perfectly suited to the great sauropods and armored ornithischians. But now a new kind of plant is beginning to take hold. A kind of plant that would one day come to dominate the entire planet, the flowering plants, or angiosperms. This is a scientific concept of staggering importance, a quiet revolution that completely reshaped the terrestrial world. The rise of flowering plants with their rapid growth, their ability to reproduce quickly with seeds and pollen, and their immense diversity was a game changer. They began to outcompete the older plant forms, creating new food sources and new ecological niches. And with this quiet revolution came another even more profound one that would redefine our understanding of dinosaurs forever. We are talking about feathers. For a long time, the image of a dinosaur was that of a large scaly lizard, a monster of pure reptilian power. But in the mid-1990s, a series of astonishing discoveries in the Liaoning province of China completely changed our perspective. Paleontologists began unearthing beautifully preserved fossils of dinosaurs, not just bones, but also the impressions of their skin, and on that skin there were feathers. It was a revolutionary moment, a sudden and beautiful truth that rewrote the story we thought we knew. We discovered that many theropods, from the small agile hunters to even some larger ones, were not scaly, but feathered. It is now widely accepted that feathers were a common feature among many dinosaur species, a beautiful and poetic link to their modern-day descendants. This discovery of feathered dinosaurs raises an interesting question. If they had feathers, and they were bipedal, and they had hollow bones, what is the difference between a dinosaur and a bird? The truth is, the line is almost invisible. The little-known fact here is that birds are not just descended from dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs. The lineage of birds, the aves, is a direct continuation of the dinosaur story. The fossils of creatures like Archaeopteryx, with its mix of reptilian and avian features, teeth in its beak, claws on its wings, show us the slow, elegant transition from a running predator on the ground to a creature that could take to the air. The feathered dinosaurs were a beautiful bridge between two different worlds, a living testament to the fact that evolution is a continuous, seamless process. This shift, this new understanding changes the entire tone of the story. The great terrifying beasts of our imagination, the Tyrannosaurus rex and the velociraptors, are no longer just scaly monsters. They are complex, fascinating animals, creatures that had a different relationship with their world than we had ever imagined. The feathers may have been for insulation, for warmth, or for display, a kind of biological advertisement to attract a mate or intimidate a rival. The world of the Cretaceous, with its new plants and new continents, was a world of immense possibility. The dinosaurs were evolving faster than ever before, adapting to the changing landscape with a kind of creative energy that is breathtaking to behold. We are now standing at the doorway of the most famous era of dinosaurs. The great sauropods are in decline in some parts of the world, though they still exist in others. The armored dinosaurs and the great theropods are reaching their peak. The world is a bustling, vibrant, and incredibly diverse place. The rise of the flowering plants has created a new kind of ecosystem, one that is more complex and more resilient than the one that came before it. And in this new world, with its new continents, its new plants, and its new feathered creatures, the story of the dinosaurs is reaching its climax. It is a world of immense beauty, of quiet power, and of a creativity that is simply staggering to behold. The Cretaceous period is a time of incredible diversity, a grand sprawling epic that is reaching its climax. The continents are still drifting apart, creating a patchwork of isolated landmasses each with its own unique evolutionary story. The flowering plants that quiet botanical revolution have taken hold, and the world is no longer a monotonous sea of ferns and conifers. It is a world of color and scent, of flowers and fruits, of new food sources and new ecological niches. This profound shift in the flora of the planet had an equally profound effect on the fauna, and it led to some of the most spectacular co-evolutionary relationships of all time. This is a perfect moment to consider a core scientific concept that explains this beautiful dance: symbiosis. Symbiosis is a close and long-term interaction between two different biological species. In the Cretaceous, we see the rise of a new kind of symbiosis between plants and animals. The flowering plants, with their brightly colored petals and sweet nectar, developed a new way to reproduce. They relied on animals, primarily insects, to carry their pollen from one plant to another. In turn, the insects got a sugary meal. It's a beautifully elegant, mutually beneficial relationship that changed the face of the planet. And as the plants evolved, so too did the animals that depended on them. The dinosaurs, of course, were not immune to this change. The rise of flowering plants led to a new kind of herbivore, one that was better equipped to eat and digest these new food sources. The great sauropods, with their vacuum cleaner-like approach to eating, were slowly being replaced by a new kind of herbivore. These were the duck-billed dinosaurs, or hadrosaurs. They were the great grazers of the Cretaceous, and their very anatomy was a testament to the new world they inhabited. They had hundreds of teeth packed into their jaws, a dental battery that was constantly being replaced, allowing them to grind up tough plant matter with incredible efficiency. They were the ultimate eating machines, perfectly adapted to the world of flowering plants. The hadrosaurs were social animals, and their fossils are often found in large bone beds, suggesting they lived and traveled in herds. This social behavior was a new kind of defense against the great predators of the time, creatures like Tyrannosaurus rex. A lone hadrosaur might be an easy meal, but a herd of them, with their sheer numbers and the constant vigilance of their members, was a formidable obstacle. They were the gentle giants of the late Cretaceous, and their presence shaped the landscape in a way that was completely different from the sauropods that came before them. But the flowering plants also led to a new kind of predator. As the herbivores adapted, the carnivores had to adapt as well. The theropods of the Cretaceous were some of the most specialized and terrifying predators in all of Earth's history. The great Tyrannosaurus rex, which we will talk more about later, was the ultimate expression of the carnivorous form, a powerful crushing predator that ruled its domain with an iron fist. But there were also other more specialized predators, like the strange and bizarre Therizinosaurus with its long scythe-like claws. For a long time, scientists thought it was a carnivore, but we now know it was a herbivore, using its long claws to pull down branches and eat leaves. It's a great example of how our understanding of these creatures is always evolving. The coevolution of dinosaurs and flowering plants also led to a more complex and interconnected food web. The plants provided food for the herbivores, which in turn provided food for the carnivores. The world was a more complex and resilient place, a living, breathing machine, with 1,000 different parts working together in perfect, if sometimes brutal, harmony. The rise of the flowering plants was a great turning point, a quiet revolution that set the stage for the final grand act of the dinosaur story. And in this new world of flowers and fruits, of herds of gentle grazers, and the great predators that hunted them, we are witnessing the pinnacle of dinosaur evolution. It is a world of immense beauty and incredible power, a world that is moving inexorably toward its final dramatic conclusion. The Cretaceous period is a time of immense energy, a world at the peak of its evolutionary power. The continents are still drifting, the oceans are expanding, and the climate is at its most tropical. But more than anything, this is the time of the great titans, a final, magnificent reign before a sudden and violent end. We are talking about the late Cretaceous, and in this era, the story of the dinosaurs reaches its most famous and compelling climax. The world is a complex, vibrant, and incredibly dangerous place. The king of this world, the creature that stands as a symbol for all that is grand and terrible about the dinosaurs, is the Tyrannosaurus rex. Its name meaning tyrant lizard king is no exaggeration. This was a creature built for power, a force of nature that dominated its ecosystem with an unparalleled ferocity. But the T-Rex was not just a mindless eating machine. Recent scientific discoveries have painted a much more nuanced and fascinating portrait of this iconic predator. This is a perfect time to delve into a core scientific concept, the debate around the Tyrannosaurus rex as a predator versus a scavenger. For a long time, scientists argued that its short arms and massive bone-crushing jaws meant it was a scavenger, a creature that feasted on the leftovers of other hunters. But new evidence, including fossils with healed bite marks from other T-Rexes, and a fossil of a hadrosaur with a T-Rex tooth embedded in its healed spine, suggests a different story. The T-Rex was a predator, a powerful and active hunter that could take down the largest prey. Its bone-crushing jaws were not just for eating, but for killing. The T-Rex was a masterpiece of biomechanical design. Its massive legs were built for power, not for speed, and it had a powerful tail that acted as a counterbalance, allowing it to turn quickly. But a little-known fact about the T-Rex is that its eyes were positioned to give it a much greater degree of binocular vision than previously thought. This means it could see in 3 dimensions and judge distances with a precision that would have made it an incredibly effective hunter. Its sense of smell was also highly developed, with large olfactory bulbs in its brain. It was a sensory machine, a predator that could see, hear, and smell its prey from a great distance. This raises an interesting question. How intelligent was a T-Rex? We don't really know for sure. Its brain was relatively small, but its senses were so highly developed that it must have been a highly efficient and cunning hunter. The truth is, the T-Rex was not just a brute. It was a complex, fascinating, and terrifyingly effective predator. But the T-Rex was not alone in its kingdom. The late Cretaceous was a world of incredible diversity. The herbivores in their own evolutionary arms race with the predators were reaching their own peak. The Triceratops, with its 3 horns and massive frill, was a formidable opponent for even the largest T-Rex. Its frill, once thought to be a purely defensive shield, may have also been a tool for display, a way to attract a mate or intimidate a rival. The great Ankylosaurus, a living tank with a massive club at the end of its tail, was a walking fortress, a perfect foil for the T-Rex. And the hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, were more abundant than ever, living in vast herds and providing a constant, if difficult, source of food for the predators. The world of the late Cretaceous was a vibrant and dynamic tapestry, a complex web of life and death, of predator and prey. The coevolutionary dance between these creatures had reached its most elaborate and intricate form. Every creature had a role to play, and the very landscape was shaped by their movements. The climate was still warm and humid, and the land was covered in forests of flowering plants, a final, magnificent garden before the great silent fire from the sky. The dinosaurs of this era were not just living, they were thriving. They had conquered the land and filled every available niche, from the great skies with the pterosaurs to the vast open oceans with the mosasaurs. They were the undisputed rulers of the world, and their reign seemed as endless as the sun. The world of the late Cretaceous, with its vibrant forests and immense titans, seems eternal. The dinosaurs in their magnificent and diverse forms are the undisputed masters of the planet. But as we have learned, the story of Earth is not one of permanence, but of constant, often violent change. The final and most famous chapter of the dinosaur story is not one of evolution, but of extinction. We are now standing on the eve of a cataclysm, a moment of profound and absolute change that would wipe the slate clean and set the stage for a new era of life. The air is still and heavy. The dinosaurs are going about their business unaware of the impending doom. A Tyrannosaurus rex is stalking a Triceratops. A herd of hadrosaurs is grazing by a river. In the skies, the pterosaurs are soaring, and in the seas, the mosasaurs are hunting. The world is a perfect complex machine humming along in a state of perfect balance. But then, as with all great dramas, the silence is broken. Somewhere in the vast, cold emptiness of space, a rogue object is hurtling toward our planet. It is a massive asteroid, a lonely, silent rock on a collision course with destiny. It is a terrifying thought, isn't it? That a single random cosmic event could undo millions of years of evolution, that the fate of the great dinosaurs, and indeed all life on Earth, could be decided by a rock in the void. This brings us to a core scientific concept that explains this event, the KPG extinction event. The K stands for the Cretaceous period, and the PG stands for the Paleogene period, the time that would follow. It is the boundary in the geological record that marks the end of the age of dinosaurs. The event itself, the impact, would have been a moment of absolute, unimaginable power. The asteroid, estimated to be about 10 kilometers wide, hit the Earth with the force of billions of atomic bombs. The site of the impact, a place we now call the Chicxulub crater on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, would have been instantly vaporized. The immediate aftermath was a brief, violent, and utterly terrifying nightmare. A shockwave of immense power rippled across the planet, triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The debris from the impact was sent hurtling into the atmosphere, a silent fire that rained down on the planet, igniting global wildfires. The sky would have been a continuous sheet of fire, and the temperature on the ground would have soared. It is a humbling and terrifying thought that the dinosaurs, for all their power, were helpless against a force so vast and so random. But the immediate impact was just the beginning. The long twilight that followed was the true killer. This is a perfect moment to consider a little-known and somber fact about this event. The great global fires and the immense dust cloud created by the impact blocked out the sun for months or even years. This led to a profound and sudden global cooling, a kind of cosmic winter. The plants, unable to photosynthesize, died. The herbivores, with nothing to eat, starved, and the great carnivores, with no herbivores left to hunt, starved as well. The food chain, that complex interconnected web of life, was broken from the bottom up. The world, in a matter of years, became a cold, dark, and empty place. This raises a profound philosophical question. What does it mean for a species to be successful? The dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 160 million years, a reign far longer than our own. And yet, in an instant, they were gone. Was their long and glorious reign a testament to their success? Or was it simply a long drawn-out march toward an inevitable and random end? The truth is, we don't really know for sure. The fossils are silent on the matter, and all we are left with is the cold, hard reality of their disappearance. The age of the giants was over, and the curtain fell on a story that had been building for 160 million years. The world after the impact is a place of shadows and silence. The great booming sounds of the dinosaurs are gone, replaced by an eerie quiet. The sky is dark, the air is cold, and the once lush forests are now nothing but charred remains and skeletal trees. This is the Paleogene period, and it is a world starting over. But while the great majority of life was wiped out, a few hardy survivors managed to endure the long twilight. The most remarkable of these survivors, the ones that carry the most powerful echo of the past, are the birds. They are the living thread that connects our present to the distant dinosaurian past. Remember how we talked about feathered dinosaurs? Remember the line between dinosaur and bird becoming almost invisible? That is the secret to their survival. A little-known fact about the extinction is that the creatures that were best suited to survive were small, omnivorous, and capable of flight. The birds, with their hollow bones, their insulating feathers, and their ability to eat a wide variety of foods from seeds and insects to fish and small reptiles, were perfectly positioned to ride out the storm. They could fly over the global wildfires, they could find food in the desolate landscape, and they could find shelter in the charred remains of the forests. The ground-dwelling, large-bodied dinosaurs, on the other hand, had no such luck. The extinction was a kind of filter, a brutal and indiscriminate sieve that selected for the small and the adaptable. This is a beautiful example of a core scientific concept, punctuated equilibrium. This is the idea that evolution is not a slow, constant, and gradual process, but rather a series of long, stable periods interrupted by sudden, rapid bursts of change. The asteroid impact was the ultimate punctuation mark. It didn't just end a chapter, it ended the entire book and forced life to start a new one. The survivors of the extinction, including the ancestors of mammals, the turtles, the crocodiles, and, of course, the birds, were now in a world without their former rulers. The ecological niches once filled by the great dinosaurs were now wide open. This was a moment of profound opportunity, a blank slate for a new kind of evolutionary story. The long twilight of the survivors was not an easy one. The world was a broken place, a silent and barren wasteland. But life, in its endless and stubborn resilience, found a way to not just survive, but to thrive. The mammals, which for 160 million years had lived in the shadows of the dinosaurs, were now the dominant life forms on land. They began to grow in size and diversity, filling the niches that were once occupied by the dinosaurs. The birds, too, began to diversify. From the small ground-dwelling survivors, they evolved into a breathtaking array of forms, from the great flightless birds like the Gastornis, which would fill the role of apex predator for a time, to the small agile songbirds that would one day fill our world with their music. The story of the survivors is a testament to the power of adaptability. They didn't just endure the extinction, they were forged by it. Their forms, their behaviors, their very existence are a direct result of a planetary catastrophe. It raises a profound philosophical question. Is life's ultimate purpose to simply survive, or is it to evolve and adapt to a changing world, no matter how harsh that world may be? The answer, as told by the fossil record, seems to be both. The dinosaurs in their great and terrifying forms are gone, but their legacy lives on. Every time we see a bird soaring in the sky, every time we hear a robin sing, we are hearing the echo of a distant dinosaurian past. The dinosaurs did not go extinct. They simply changed. They became smaller, they lost their teeth, and they grew wings. They are still among us, living and breathing, a constant and beautiful reminder that even in the face of unimaginable loss, life always finds a way. The long night has passed, and a new dawn, the dawn of a new kind of life, is upon us. The long night of extinction is over. The silence has been broken, and the world is now filled with new sounds, new life, and new stories. But the ghosts of the past are all around us. They are not in the silent, stratified layers of rock, but in the living, breathing creatures that fill our world today. We are now in a new chapter 1 that connects the distant, silent past to our vibrant present. We are going to explore the profound and beautiful connection between the dinosaurs and the birds we see every day, a link that is so seamless and so elegant that it changes our very perception of time. This is a perfect moment to consider a core scientific concept that explains this connection: vestigial structures. A vestigial structure is a feature that has lost its original function over time. We have them in our own bodies: our appendix, our tailbone, the tiny muscles that move our ears. They are relics of a distant past, a kind of biological memory. The birds, too, are full of these relics. The most famous one, of course, is the hollow bone structure. Remember how we talked about the pneumatic skeletons of the great sauropods, a feature that made them light enough to move. That same feature is found in the bones of birds, a perfect adaptation for flight, but a feature that was originally evolved for an entirely different purpose. It's a beautiful example of exaptation at work, a piece of ancient engineering, co-opted for a new and magnificent purpose. But the connection goes much deeper than just bones. The wishbone, that small V-shaped bone in a bird's chest, is a direct evolutionary link to the dinosaurs. It is a fused clavicle, a bone that was found in the chests of theropod dinosaurs, like the Velociraptor and the Tyrannosaurus rex. In those creatures, it was a simple part of the shoulder girdle, a bone that helped support the powerful muscles of the forelimbs. In birds, it has been co-opted for a new purpose. It acts like a spring, helping to power the muscles of the wings during flight. It is a little known and truly fascinating fact that when you make a wish on a chicken's wishbone, you are holding a piece of dinosaur. The very anatomy of a bird, from its three-toed feet to its powerful legs, is a direct echo of its dinosaurian past. The way a bird walks with its knees bent forward and its powerful legs driving its body is a testament to its bipedal heritage. The feathers, once thought to be a unique feature of birds, are now known to be a common feature of many dinosaur lineages. And the way a bird lays eggs in a nest, the way it protects its young, the very social behaviors that we associate with birds, all of these things have their roots in the distant dinosaurian past. It's a powerful and humbling thought that the world of the dinosaurs is not a dead distant past, but a living, breathing part of our present. This raises a profound philosophical question. What does it mean to be extinct? The great non-avian dinosaurs are gone, their forms lost to the silent, swirling mists of time. But their legacy lives on. Their DNA, their anatomy, their very way of life is woven into the fabric of the birds we see today. The dinosaurs did not die. They simply changed. They adapted. They found a new way to live in a world that had been completely transformed. The dinosaurs are not a cautionary tale of a species that failed. They are a story of success, a story of a lineage that was so powerful and so resilient that it found a way to survive even the most cataclysmic of events. The birds, with their beauty and their grace, are a living, breathing testament to the power of evolution. They are a silent, continuous echo of a world that was, and a living, breathing promise of a world that is yet to come. The long, patient journey of life from the first whispers of a distant dawn to the vibrant, noisy world we inhabit today is a single, unbroken thread. And as we watch a robin fly or a pigeon walk, we are not just seeing a bird. We are seeing a dinosaur, a silent and beautiful reminder that the past is never truly gone. We have come a long, long way. We have traveled back to a world still in its molten youth, a silent, volatile place of fire and rock. We have watched life stir in the chemical chaos, a single courageous impulse that would one day lead to the great sauropods. We have witnessed the slow, patient dance of evolution, the rise of the great predators, and the unfolding of 1,000 different forms. We have endured a cosmic winter, a great and terrible silence that wiped the slate clean. And we have seen life in its endless and stubborn resilience find a new way forward, a new story to tell. This final part of our journey is not about the past or the future, but about the connection between them. It is a moment of reflection, a time to look back on the vast woven tapestry of time and see how every thread, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is connected to the one we are standing on right now. This is a profound and philosophical concept, the continuity of life. It's the idea that life, for all its twists and turns, its great leaps, and its devastating falls, is a single, unbroken chain. The very atoms that make up our bodies have a history that goes back to the very first stars and the very first life. We are made of stardust, and we are also made of the echoes of dinosaurs. This brings us to a little-known and truly awe-inspiring fact. The deep, patient work of evolution is not a race, but a kind of cosmic conversation. The life that existed before the dinosaurs, the synapsids, and the strange, soft-bodied creatures of the Ediacaran biota are all a part of our story. Their struggles, their innovations, their very existence laid the groundwork for the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs, in their great and magnificent forms, laid the groundwork for us. Every creature that has ever lived, every plant that has ever grown, is a part of the grand interconnected tapestry of life. We are not just the descendants of a few hardy survivors. We are the sum total of everything that came before us. Think about the sheer, improbable journey of it all. The first great leap, when a single-celled organism decided to become too. The first time a creature crawled out of the sea and took its first tentative breath on land. The first time a feathered creature took to the air, not with a roar, but with a whisper. These are not just scientific facts. They are moments of profound courage and wonder. The history of life is a story of a relentless creative energy that is constantly finding a way to not just exist, but to flourish. And in this great story, the dinosaurs play a crucial and magnificent role. They were not just a passing phase, a brief moment of evolutionary extravagance. They were a chapter, a long and powerful epic that shaped the very planet we live on. Their dominance, their incredible diversity, their very existence, all of it influenced the world that came after. The empty niches they left behind allowed for the rise of the mammals which would one day lead to us. We are in a very real way a direct result of their extinction. This raises a final quiet question. Do we truly understand our place in this grand story? We look at the fossil record and we see a series of discrete events: the Cambrian explosion, the Permian extinction, the rise of the dinosaurs, the end of the dinosaurs. But the truth is, the boundaries are artificial. The story is a single continuous flow, a river of time that is constantly moving. We are not at the end of the story, or even the beginning. We are simply a moment in the middle, a fleeting but beautiful snapshot in a story that is far grander than we can ever imagine. The echoes of the past are all around us, and the whispers of the future are already in the air. The vast ancient story of the dinosaurs, a story of incredible power and profound grace, is drawing to a close. We have followed their journey from the first whispers in the Triassic sand to their magnificent reign in the Cretaceous. We have witnessed their triumphs and their final quiet end. But their legacy is not one of tragedy. It is a legacy of resilience, a testament to the fact that even in the face of the most unimaginable loss, life finds a way to endure. This final chapter is not about what was lost, but about what remains. The fossil record, that silent, magnificent library of bones, is the true legacy of the dinosaurs. It is a book written in stone, a collection of silent stories that we are still learning to read. Every fossil, from the immense bone of a Tyrannosaurus rex to the tiny footprint of an early theropod, is a message from the deep past. It is a physical, tangible link to a world that is so different from our own, and yet so fundamentally connected. This is a perfect moment to consider a core scientific concept that underpins our entire understanding of this story: taphonomy. Taphonomy is the study of how organisms decay and become fossilized. It is the science of the graveyard, the study of how a living creature becomes a silent, eternal relic in the rock. It's a beautiful and a little bit haunting thought that the very processes that led to their preservation are the same processes that erased them from our world. The burial, the decay, the slow, patient replacement of organic matter with minerals, all of it is a testament to the slow, relentless power of geologic time. A little known and truly fascinating fact about dinosaur fossils is that they are incredibly rare. The vast majority of creatures that have ever lived, including the great dinosaurs, simply vanished without a trace. The conditions for fossilization are so specific and so rare that every fossil we find is a kind of miracle, a lottery winner that beat the odds of decay and oblivion. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That we are only seeing the smallest fraction of the story, that for every great fossil we find, there are a million stories that were simply lost to time. The fossils we have are not the whole book, but a series of scattered, beautiful, and profound sentences. This raises a final quiet question. What is the nature of memory? The dinosaurs in their great and magnificent forms are gone. They have no memory of their world. But we, with our fragile, fleeting lives, have a memory of them. We have built museums to house their bones. We have written books and made movies to tell their stories, and we have dedicated our lives to understanding their world. We are in a very real way the living memory of the dinosaurs. Our curiosity, our wonder, our relentless desire to understand the past is a testament to the fact that even after millions of years, the echoes of their existence still have the power to move and to inspire us. The story of the dinosaurs is not just a scientific tale, it is a human one. It is a story about our own place in the grand ongoing narrative of life and our own profound and beautiful connection to a world we will never see. The giants sleep, but they do not dream. We, on the other hand, do. And so our long, quiet journey is at an end. We have traveled through fire and ash, through lush forests and silent seas. We have watched the world change, and we have seen life in all its forms adapt and endure. The great booming sounds of the past have faded into a gentle whisper, and the world is once again a place of quiet possibility. I want you to gently bring your awareness back to the room you're in, to the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. The long, slow river of time that we've been floating on is now gently brushing past you, its currents carrying away all the noise and the stress of the day. The weight of the world, with all its worries and its complexities, is slowly fading, like a long, soft shadow at dusk. It's time to let it all go. I'd like to gently ask one last time, where is the place you're staying now? The time in that place at this very moment, how is it flowing? Feel the quiet, still center of your own existence and know that you are a part of this grand ongoing story. The whispers of the past are all around you, and the dreams of the future are just a gentle breath away. Sleep well, my companion, wherever and whenever you are. Sweet dreams.